It's really sickening.
Yeah, Hugh, I've seen a picture of President Obama standing in front of that giant drawing of CHE GUEVARA. This is just yet another reason why I think President Obama's trip to Cuba was misguided, why I think the normalization of the relationship with Cuba 15 months ago was misguided. In some ways, this was more one-sided than the nuclear deal with Iran in the sense that not only did Cuba really make no concessions to the U.S. position of more market-based economics, greater human rights, and democratic self-government, it actually moved in the opposite direction. In fact, over the weekend, literally on the eve of President Obama's trip, the Cuban government arrested one of the leading dissidents in Cuba. They've apparently since released him, but many more dissidents remain under arrest or house arrest or have gross restrictions on their liberty while President Obama is traveling there. I think that's not only wrong for our relationship with the Cuban people and for their rights, but also our interest around the world, because it tells adversarial regimes they can humiliate the United States and there's no price to pay under Barack Obama.
Now, Senator Cotton, did we get anything out of this deal at all? You're fair. I know you don't like the deal. I don't like the deal. But in their defense, did we get anything at all from this trip?
It's hard for me to see what we received in return. I mean, Cuba is still harboring very bad guys, cop killers of police officers in the United States. They're still locking up dissidents, even more so than they did before the deal was announced. If you want to do business with the people of Cuba, you essentially have to go through the Castro regime. And now, on the trip itself, the regime is pulling tricks like they did today to get the president photographed in front of a drawing of CHE GUEVARA. So I think it was entirely one-sided, and it's not in the best interest of the United States, nor is it good for the Cuban people.
All right, now, turning a page to what's going on in North Korea. They fired a volley of medium-range or short-range missiles today. They all fell into the sea. But what do you make of this pattern of radical outbursts by the crazy guy running North Korea?
Well, Kim Jong-un may be irrational, he may be crazy. I don't think you can say that he's acting in an irrational manner when it comes to trying to advance his interests in the region. He is trying to get more concessions from the United States and China and our allies to help prop up his Stalinist regime. The president, as he's done repeatedly around the world, though, has not put adequate pressure on the Kim regime, and therefore we're letting the Kim regime try to break out by testing a nuclear weapon, testing a space launch vehicle, testing missiles that ultimately may lead to more concessions from the United States and from our allies. Kim may not be acting irrationally, but he does respond to pressure. At least we know that he responds poorly if he's not getting any pressure, and we need to significantly step up the pressure that we have on the Kim regime.
How do you do that? I mean, a lot of Americans sit here and say, we don't have any tools in our toolbox when it comes to North Korea. What's in there?
I'm doubtful about that. We can push for more aggressive sanctions, and we can push China to be more aggressive with the Kim regime. There's still open flows of currency between China and North Korea. North Korea gets many of its basic foodstuffs and other materials from China. Ships still go in and out of the North Korean harbors. China has it fully within its capability of turning off those benefits for the North Korean regime and therefore putting pressure on the Kim regime. And it's ultimately going to be in China's best interest to do that, because if North Korea provokes a regional arms race with our allies, South Korea and Japan, and brings them closer not only to us but together, given their historical disputes, that's going to be bad for China's interests in the region. So the United States should be putting more pressure on China to put more pressure on North Korea.
Now, Senator Cotton, I want to close with Israel. Former Secretary of State Clinton addressed AIPAC today, the American Israel Political Action Committee. Later today, Senator Cruz and Donald Trump will be there. I'm not sure if Governor Kasich is going to